Well, we do have a scale called the Saffir-Simpson scale, and that has the different stages of development in the tropics, as well as, well, you'll see what we mean. Category 1 being 74 to 95 miles an hour, Category 2 96 to 110, all the way on up to Category 5, which is 156 miles an hour. And that would be called a super hurricane. For more on the Saffir-Simpson scale, here's Dale Eck.
Hurricane Camille devastated the Mississippi Gulf Coast in 1969. Winds were estimated in excess of 200 miles an hour. Hurricane Jerry hit the Texas coast in 1989, a much weaker storm, but it still managed to cause damage. There is a way to measure the strength of a hurricane. It's called the Saffir-Simpson scale. It is based on the factors which combine to give a hurricane destructive power. These factors include the level of the air pressure, the speed of the wind, the amount of water pushed onto the land by the storm, known as the storm surge. The scale ranges from 1 to 5, 1 being a minimal and 5 being catastrophic. It is the storm surge which primarily causes the damage and deaths in hurricanes. By knowing the Saffir-Simpson scale rating for a hurricane and by listening closely to hurricane watches and warnings, you can protect your property and your life. I'm Dale Eck, the Weather Channel.
Now that we've witnessed the developing stages from a tropical disturbance through a depression, a storm, and a hurricane, and classifications of a hurricane, let's experience the damage of a hurricane in 1900.
September the 8th marks the anniversary of the worst natural disaster in United States history. The day in 1900 when Galveston, Texas was hit by a great hurricane. There were no modern tools of weather forecasting, only telegraph reports from land stations around the Gulf. The hurricane started far out in the Atlantic Ocean, tracked through the Caribbean Sea and went over the island of Hispaniola, turned to the northwest over Cuba and entered the Gulf and headed directly for Galveston. The storm surge hit in the early evening. Some people estimated wind speeds up to 120 miles per hour. Half the people took shelter. For others, it was too late. The death toll was over 6,000, although estimates run as high as 12,000. 8,000 to 10,000 people were left homeless as nearly 4,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. The hurricane is the deadliest storm to hit the U.S., making September 8th a date that Galveston will never forget. Dennis Smith, the Weather Channel.
That was a major hurricane of Galveston, 1900. Let's bring you a little bit closer to the most current time in August of 1992, ravaging through South Florida, Hurricane Andrew.
Andrew smashed into southern Florida on August 24th, 1992 as a strong Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Andrew made landfall near Homestead Air Force Base, Florida at 5:05 a.m. The storm had sustained winds of 145 miles per hour with gusts over 170 and a central pressure of 922 millibars. Andrew caused mass destruction. Vicious winds ripped through homes and businesses. More than 125,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. 250,000 people were left homeless. Over 40 people were killed. Damage was estimated at over $25 billion. Large parts of South Dade County were flattened by the hurricane-force winds. As residents of South Florida assessed the damage, Andrew headed into the Gulf of Mexico and turned north towards the coastline of Louisiana. The hurricane made landfall at Burns Point as a Category 3 storm on August 26th. The storm had lost some of its intensity, but it did cause...